Hi, welcome to Desi Pantry, and today we're going to show you how to cook lamb pilau rice. So to do that we're going to need 2 kgs of lamb or mutton. What we're also going to require is 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds. We're also going to need 1 tablespoon of cumin or zira seeds, and also 2 tablespoons of coriander, i.e. dhania seeds. What we'll also need is 4 cloves of garlic and also 2 pieces of ginger and 1 small onion. So further down the process, for the rice we're going to require 4 tablespoons of yogurt, 1 tablespoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of ground ginger and garlic, and again this could be done in a food processor. So we're going to add some mixed spices. So this is going to include 1 tablespoon of cumin, 15 seeds of whole black pepper and 2 cardamom, and also a spice called star anise, known in Urdu as a badiyan. Four to 5 medium onions, again cut and fried until golden brown, and this is going to be required later on in the process. For the rice we're going to need about 750 grams of rice, and we'll leave that soaking in water. With this dish, white rice really works best. And finally we're also, and this is optional, not everyone adds potatoes, but here we're going to add 4 medium potatoes, again chopped and fried until golden. We're now going to start phase 1 of the cooking process. So at first we're going to get a saucepan and add about 10 glasses of water and bring that to the boil. To that we're now going to start to add a small onion. We'll add 4 cloves of garlic and the 2 pieces of ginger. We're now going to spice that up a little bit and start to add the 1 tablespoon of fennel, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds. We're now ready to add the 2 kgs of meat. Please do this very carefully as the pan can be very hot. We are now going to let this boil on medium heat for approximately 40 minutes. So as you can see, the meat is now cooked. We don't want it to be over tender because we're going to cook this later on with the rice, and if it's over tender you'll find that the meat may break. This is something we do not want in the final dish. We are now ready to separate the meat from the broth. The broth has now been separated. You need approximately 6 cups of broth to go with the 5 cups of rice from earlier. It is now very important to put the broth through the strainer. This is to separate the spices from earlier from the broth itself. The broth is now ready for the next stage of the process. We're now going to move to the next phase of cooking. So with an empty saucepan we're going to add half a cup oil. This could be vegetable or sunflower oil. And as that heats up, we now can add ginger and garlic paste. And this is something we prepared earlier. It's a tablespoon within a food processor. As the ginger and garlic cooks, we want to be sure that we do not burn this. We want to just keep it sauteed and not go too golden brown. Next, we're going to add our mixed spices from earlier. So if you remember, this contained 1 tablespoon of cumin, 15 whole black peppers, 2 black cardamoms and 1 star anise. Keep stirring to let those spices really infuse. We are now ready to add the meat that we separated earlier. We are now going to mix the meat with all those spices that we added earlier. And we really want to give this some time to really fuse into the meat. So I would say really let it simmer for about 5 minutes. We're now going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Now you may note that I didn't add this earlier. And the reason for this was that salt can actually prevent the meat from becoming tender. And that's not what we want in this dish. We are now ready to add the 4 tablespoons of yogurt. When you add this to the mix, you really want to be sure that we leave it to simmer and really stir until most of the water has reduced from the dish. Keep stirring for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to add the fried onion that we did earlier on in the preparation. When you add this to the dish, make sure that you mix it well and stir thoroughly. We are now going to add 6 cups of broth that we made earlier from the 2 kgs of meat. So carefully pour this into the saucepan. Allow this to simmer. Then what we want to do is add about 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Bring this to boil. Drain the water from the rice, and what you're now going to do is add this rice to the dish. Do this very carefully as the pan is very hot. On a high flame, let the rice cook in the broth. The broth is really going to infuse in the rice, and let the water gradually reduce. The broth has now reduced into the rice. So as I mentioned, this is optional, but I'm going to add potatoes in this dish. So earlier on, we fried some potatoes to golden brown. Add that to the dish and mix it gently. Allow the dish to stand for about 10 minutes. What I do is place the saucepan onto a frying pan, and then making sure that we cover the lid securely, and to do this I'm using aluminium foil. Our lamb pilau is now cooked and ready to be served. garnishing, we're going to add some crispy brown onions that we saved from earlier on top of the dish. If you like our recipes, please leave a comment and provide any feedback. And please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.